So one of the things that I feel like is that, this is something that we're in and we kind of have a good groove of it with it now. And so not that we've mastered it, so to speak, but we're kind of established in this area. So
I see what you're saying. Hey everybody, welcome to our channel where we're gonna talk about what I said that we was gonna do this earlier this week. I said that we're gonna start this couples talk. This is my wife Jasmine. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to get into this topic that we just was talking about a little bit before the video started. I entitle it just selling dreams. So as husbands, a lot of times we sell our dreams to the women in our lives, whether it's our significant others or it's anything, we sell our dreams. Like we sell our butt offs. And sometimes it's the other way around, but most of the time it's us guys. So we're going to get right into it. So what dreams do you feel like I've sold you well, we've been together for about 8 years. So what dreams do you feel like I've sold you over those 8 years?
So most of the dreams that I feel like you sold me are pre-marriage. So hot-headed 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old. And it was always this, not I want to say a get rich quick, because it wasn't that. It was just, you used to always talk about financial freedom, financial freedom, financial freedom, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I think that we had this false conception, like a lot of people do in our generation, similar to the faults that the generations before had. So it's every generation has something, but for particularly our generation, we just think that things are just supposed to happen without any character building or any kind of experience, or you develop integrity, and when it does, things do happen quickly for this generation, but when it does happen quickly, it's like as soon as you get it, you lose it,
Yeah, I guess for me, like, I feel like I sell a lot of dreams to, I'd sell a lot of dreams to Jasmine, as my wife here.
Well, what dreams do you feel like you sold to me?
Well, a lot of them I feel like we purchased.
We purchased, like what?
Like, well, this home, we're sitting in it.
Yeah, but there were times where I was like, he's putting my tea on a coaster because he's just so, anyway, old school. But no, so yeah, there were times where I felt like, okay, like, what does he mean he wants us to buy a house? Like, if you guys knew how our credit was looking, we were living on one income and we're just now transitioning out of living on one income, but technically now we still are. And it just didn't really seem it. And then, he was early on in his career, and it's like, what do you mean we're going to buy a house? We're just going to rent until we figure it out. But that's not what we did.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, so a lot of my emboldening in what I feel like comes from the successes that I have. And I think that the biggest thing that I guess maybe even the biggest challenge that I have is, as a dreamer, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, is as a dreamer, you never really get to the dream. And if you do, you have this emptiness. And so for me, like, I have almost like this hatchet effect. So I keep, as soon as we are at or hit our goal, I go, yeah, but what we need right now is
like,
this.
As soon as you hit one mark, you're already setting the next mile marker. So there was that element of never being satisfied. And I'm going to be real, like, it put a lot of stress on me because it's like, well, my background is stability. So you just do whatever you can and what you have to do to create that stability, to avoid and evade that kind of stress and worry and strife. That's the example that was set for me. And so I think that one is not better than the other. I think that, you just have to figure out what works for you. But for me, I feel like it brings balance to us. But you have to be careful that one doesn't overrule the other.
Yeah. I guess, like, for me too, like, somebody told me that if you're always focused on surviving, you'll never get to living. And you know, I took that to heart. It was some, you know, guy who spoke at my school. He was just like, you know, if you're always focused on it, you know, you'll never get to live it. And that's what stability is for me. Not that I'm not stable or like I don't do stable things. Like,
yeah, you've had the same job for 3
3
years, you
yeah.
know.
Going on
And
4.
for us, like I think like that doesn't say a lot for some people, but for people in our generation, like you keep a job for 3 months. And if you keep it for that long, they're out the door. So, you know, doing something, and then for me, even sticking with school, you know, that's not that common. Like most of us, we switch majors, but for the most part, I've tried to remain consistent in my path.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of people, I think a lot of people, one of the dreams that I sold her on is one of her own dreams that she had to becoming a physical therapy doctor.
Yeah.
So, especially in this generation, a lot of people say, oh, if the man's got the woman at the house and she's not working, then she's not doing anything. And that's just not true. I don't feel like that's the case. And what a lot of people what they misunderstand or misinterpret is motive. Like, for me, we don't have any children. We've been married for 4 years now. And the reason is because I have this sense of, I don't want my wife to resent me in the rest of her life for being barefoot and pregnant and, you know, no degree, you know, and now she's working on her 3rd degree and she's trying to become a physical therapy doctor and she's about to get into the program. So the reason why I bring that up is because I feel like I'm selling the dream to become what it is that she wants to be, but at the same time, it's through a lot of traditional things, such as I'm the only person working, I'm the only person providing.
But be clear though, like I will say that, you know, I always like to say, you know, this is technically a traditional setup where, like where I'm not a breadwinner and I don't bring in a whole bunch of income whenever I do. But this video isn't really about money and income and stuff like that. But just to say, like, I would do the same thing for you. You know what I mean? Like, if you had a promising career and it was something that was going to add, like, I wouldn't take the brunt of the financial responsibility. Like, if you wanted to be a rapper and you were trying to sell me your dreams on being a rapper, a producer. And not to say that rappers don't work hard and grind. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you know, I would never gamble on the future and financial well-being of my family, and I would never put that kind of stress on myself to support for me, I feel like it's just a bit irresponsible. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but if you were, you know, and he took that gamble on me, like if I told him that, you know, I wanted to train to be a Victoria's Secret model, I don't think that, you know, it's just the likelihood is not there. You know, and for Victoria's Secret models, they have $1 million contracts, you know, so it's not like it would have been, but, you know, that's one in every 500 women that get chose for that, you know.
And so I guess for the two of us, we are extremely stable. Like we got the mutual fund investments. We're not into options. We're not into single stocks and things like that. A lot of that is just because of the advice that my boss gave me. But I guess the dreams portion comes in when it comes to this. Because I have this more, or next goal, we don't get to ever really see the fruits of the labor that we spent to get here. And just to give you guys a quick example, we purchased this home in October of 2017, and we're just really starting to put some stuff down. Like this thing behind us, we just got, you know, and we hadn't really spent time to really decorate because I'm like, well, now it's time to get our investment property.
Full disclosure, I have not been able to make my house. And that's one of the things that is kind of a trade-off. Like I'll get some of my good friends that look at me and say, Jazz, like you have a hardworking husband with vision and he goes out there and he gets it while he supports you through school. And though I appreciate that, it's like, okay, I do a lot of sacrificing myself, like a lot of sacrificing. So though, you know, it's like, but that's where the team thing comes in because he does an equal amount of sacrificing. You know, there's things that he wants to do and buy that he may not be able to do and buy right now. And, My house, to me, it's just extremely bare and plain. And some days I look at it and I feel I'm not happy right now with the house. Not saying I'm not happy with our marriage, but I haven't been able to do my house in a way that will make me feel happy now. But I understand that. I understand that there's a goal and a reason why. And then that stuff will come.
Yeah, I mean, and part of this whole thing is I really wanted to get a good understanding, because just full disclosure too, we've never talked about this, so we've never actually sat down. This is the first time we're actually talking about it, and we're doing it in front of the world. So
this is not the first time we talked about this. I don't know. We've talked about this before.
Not in this much detail. I mean, we haven't talked about it in this much detail.
Whatever.
Needless to say.
Okay.
What I mean is, as we're moving forward and a lot of things are happening for us in our lives, it's funny when we look back at where we were. So when I sold her the dream, and this is where I feel like some people may be right now. When I sold her this dream, I was working a business that I had built up online. I was doing
just to give some context. I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
The context is first in like concise and as concisely as possible. Like, what was the dream for you? We may not have perceived. Sorry, we may not have perceived the same thing.
So the dream was very simple for me. It was, and I posted this on Facebook: a house, a wife, and 2 cars. And children.
He says, "Oh, wife." That could be anybody, right? I mean,
well, so obviously I sold myself on the dream first, right? So this is what I wanted for my life, and then when I met you, I wanted.
Yeah, you sold me on it because this was not.
Yeah, because I sold her on becoming my wife, so that was step 1.
Yeah, he did. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna. You didn't sell me because. We're getting into a lot right now that is not the topic of this video, but we may make another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So his dream, as he said, was a wife, which
it was her.
Yeah, like you can't, a wife, anybody could be sitting right here. But anyway, a wife, a house, and 2 cars. But it's like, is that really a dream though? Like that's kind of an expectation in this culture and society.
Well, then let me be a little more clear too. So all of those things, and then the ability to retire in my 30s. So
That's
at
a dream.
30. And I feel like right now I have the opportunity to do that. But because of my lineage, my dad, my granddad, my great-granddad, and everyone that I've known, even my uncle, we never stopped working. We may have paid off homes, paid off cars, kids are grown and out of the house, and we just never stopped working.
But you're different. You're different and unique in that regard. So your dad will look at you and be like, boy, and my dad will look at me and be like, you need to, X, Y, and Z. And I know our parents, like, they mean well and everything like that. Like, they just want us to do well, and they're telling us what they did that worked.
Right.
You know what I mean? But when we got together, one of the things I feel like we quickly understood was that our lives were just going to be extremely different.
Yeah. And
we didn't have anything to draw from in that difference. Not close. Like we would see couples off in the far that would be doing things similar.
Right.
But that was the hard part of following what we're doing now, which is following our dreams of, not to say that we're just going to chill out at 30. We're 25 now. We're not just going to put our hands behind our head and be like, we're done with life. But just to have that option to not have to report to somebody.
Right.
Not have to. You know what I mean? You got to work. That's the way you stay alive. Right. But, that was part of the dream. The part of the dream was like, we're going to get together and we're going to do this thing our way. You know what I mean? And not even our way, but God's way, because he's the only reason why we've been able to do things in such a way to where it's not been that traditional. It's not been that, conformative or anything like that. Both of our parents will tell you, like, if you ask them, that we don't follow a lot of their advice because we try to do what we feel like is best and most conducive for our dreams.
Well, you know what? I don't even think it's that we don't follow their advice. Like, for instance, my dad told me, always have a side hustle. Always never depend on
you have many
it.
side hustles.
Right. And so, including just YouTube. I also do DoorDash, Postmates. I just started Lionbridge. I'll be talking about that in a bit. And I'm about to get into real estate,
You're already in real estate.
So you're right, and I do real estate. I'm a real estate agent, but I'm also trying to get into purchasing rental properties,
Investing.
which I want to share with you guys as well. But I feel like I just take in the meat and spit out the bones. There are certain things that are going to apply to me, and then there's just certain things that aren't, especially in our relationship. Like, for instance, never go to sleep angry, right? Never go to sleep angry. Always talk. So these talks,
like the constructive. Oh, sorry, baby.
Well, these talks for us are so not new. We talk almost every single day. It would have to be something extraordinary for us not to talk at least 2-3 hours a day.
But the constructive parts of what we receive in advice from our elders regarding marriage, like, if it lines up with the word of God, like, we take it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So not to say that, we just know everything. It's not that. It's just as far as logistics and stuff like that.
Right.
So we heard about, like, your dreams, but I'm going to talk about what my dream was for my life. And how it's really not much different from where we are and where we're going. So I don't know if I had much of a dream for I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't have much of a dream because I was still trying to figure everything out. Because, we got married at 20. Yeah. So I didn't really even at that point have that much foresight. I knew that I wanted to be a physical therapist, and I knew that I wanted to be with him for the rest of my life. But other than that, as far as how all that was going to pan and play out, like, you couldn't have really told me. So the fortunate part was that, getting married allowed me to align with a vision. So obviously, we run our marriages biblically as we possibly can. My husband, Jonathan, will cast the vision for our family, and then, we'll sit down and we'll have a discussion about what that looks like, how he plays a part in that and what he'll be doing, and then how I play a part that and how what I'll be doing, and then how our future children, how they'll play a part in that, and how they'll function in our household too. So it's never like I'm just following his dreams, and it's really not like that. Like, he's,
right.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of like, well, I said this before I got married, and I'll say it again. My view for getting married early, and the reason why I really wanted to, is because I wanted to be an engineer at the time, and I really wanted to go to school. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Atlantis in the Bahamas, right? It's these two large buildings, and then there's this bridge in the middle. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that building's going to crash or burn or anything like that, but my point was buildings need to have similar or same foundation. And it takes too much for a building to be built separately and then collide somewhere deep in life. And so I take the analogy of the building to our marriage, and I would say, like, I don't want to be on my own trail and find a woman that's on her own trail and then somehow try to merge those two things together. I really wanted to find, when I found Jazz, I really wanted to find her in a place where she and I were both new in everything, and we could build similar foundations and build up from that.
Yeah, not to say that didn't come with its challenges, and if you do, like, plenty of couples marry later on in life and they're just fine. Right. For us, and it has come with its challenges. You know what I mean? I'd be lying if it did, but I feel like this will come with its challenges just as a more mature, person coming into it, because you're used to doing everything on your own, and now you have to stop and consider somebody else. So I think my biggest challenge for me was as it pertains to pursuing our dreams, because one thing that I just had a thought, like one thing that I appreciate about this was that us being married didn't stop our dreams. If anything, it catapulted them.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you have somebody rooting for you, him rooting for me and vice versa.
Yeah.
When you have that, it's kind of like a catalyst. Like you have this reaction going on, and you pour the catalyst in there, which is an enzyme, and it makes the reaction faster.
Right.
And so I feel like we were a big catalyst for one another in our lives. So it wasn't a hindrance. It was hard, but it wasn't a hindrance.
We'd be lying if we didn't say it was hard. But so, anyways, I guess as a whole, the dreams that I sold my wife are dreams that are actually coming true. Slowly but surely. And I think if anything, what I can take from just hearing her side and perspective and my vision, especially just with the understanding of tonight, it's okay to dream big. You just have to see the roses along the way.
Yeah.
And you have to stop and smell them every now and again. You can't just wait and push off.
And I feel like, our marriage was part of the roses. Like,
right.
Even like just being broke and finding a means to go on a date.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember one date night, we got in our truck. We went to QT, we got some hot dogs, and we just sat by a lake.
Yeah.
And we actually weren't broke that day. We just didn't want to spend any money. But, just simple things like that. Like, we'll go to, it's simple stuff, going to parks and like walking like 8 miles, just because,
yes.
that you may not have no money to, but those are the roses that I feel like you're talking about along the way to our dreams. And so having someone to share that with,
right,
makes it all worthwhile.
It does. And even beyond just that, just the free stuff and the cheap stuff. I mean, really, like, this thing wasn't, but how much you pay for that, baby?
That was a gift. And stop pointing at that.
Well, what I'm saying is...
yeah, this is... he's pointing at this thing because it's one of the only decorative things we have in our house. Like,
well, we have a few other things.
Like, I really... No, let's just stop right there. Like, there's nothing... Anyway.
Needless to say, that what I was going... Where I was going with that is... If you make 100, donate 10 back. Right, to yourself, into your marriage, into your happiness, into everything that you've built. It's not necessarily about just the free stuff, because the song "Best Thing in Life" for free, the moon shines on everyone and all that other stuff, but at the same time, it's unsustainable. I remember, we could get into a big fight about just the house being blank, blank.
Yeah, true.
And for almost the first full year, we didn't even paint. We said we was going to paint. We didn't. We said we was going to put the floors down. We had floors laying in our corner for a year. Yeah, and they were already paid for. So we had the floors, and we
shout out to my grandmother. She bought them for us.
Absolutely, and we really do appreciate these. I mean, and I learned how to put down floors, so we actually did make that happen. And but the thing is, it's just about it's actually about giving back throughout. Because if you have $100 in your pocket, like I said, give yourself 10. If you become a thousandaire, if there's ever such a thing, to give yourself back 100. And then as we get bigger, give yourself back something, because once you approach or hit the dream, the dreamer is always going to have a bigger dream or have something bigger,
So I think, in summation, we were kind of all over the place, but we just wanted to have a general discussion about the pursuit of dreams, selling dreams, what dreams look like in a marriage. I think it's important to have dreams in a marriage, and sometimes just going to dinner, like, that can be a dream. If it's not, because you have different seasons, like if you have young kids, stuff like that is not just so easy to come by. Right. So I think it's important to have dreams in marriage, big or small, and something that you two just share together.
Yeah.
And other people outside, they don't have to approve of it. They don't have to approve of the way you do it. But, you know, everybody's going to mean well. But, you know, at the end of the day, if you take on a kind of like it's you and I against the world, it makes you like closer, and it makes you better. So
absolutely,
I think what we get is that you stop, and we tried to stop, and we had seasons where we grinded and we didn't do anything fun.
No.
And then we had seasons where we were so stressed out and overwhelmed by our dreams that we would self-sabotage sometimes, and that's a whole different video. Yeah. And we would overspend, and we would overindulge in fun and things like that. So
yeah, I mean, and both of us, you know, when you do that, when you in fact, I'll give you a perfect example. Right before we got this house,
no.
Right before we got this house, we went on a vacation with a couple friend that we have, and
that wasn't self-sabotage though.
We were taking photos after riding the bike, and I posted it on Facebook, and my best friend was like, "Dude, you are fat." And I was like, yeah. Because we had been eating so much as we were approaching the finish line.
What happened is we were eating out.
Right.
So it wasn't just we were just sit at home.
No.
But when you eat out a lot, even if you like you eat regular portions and 3 meals a day, it's just the fact that it's a restaurant, more calories, more stuff like that. Yeah. So we were eating out a lot.
And I put on, I mean, I was probably, I don't know, almost 250. I was heavy. I was very heavy.
You were almost 250?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Needless to say, I've lost 50 pounds. I mean, I literally took all that off, and, you know, part of that is, you know, just from working out. A lot of that is we do fast and pray, you know, especially in hard seasons. Not that, you know, we're saying anything about that, but that does, you know, obviously help lose weight. But anyway, so I wanted to do another segment. This may or may not come into fruition, but if anyone if they're in Georgia and they would like to share the dreams that they've sowed each other and talk on this channel, I would love to interview you. That would be great. And also, if you have any comments or suggestions in the comment section below, go ahead and post those. And as always, thank you for joining in to my channel. And we are the Youngs.
Peace.